Got basketball to talk about. Hell of a weekend in basketball. We mentioned before we came on the podcast, it was kind of a Freaky Friday with basketball, right? Because you have the men kind of doing their thing, kind of stringing together a few wins here, and then the women surprisingly losing back-to-back games. But we'll just kind of dive right into it. We'll talk about men's basketball here first. 2-0 since our last episode, won 3 straight in AAC play. Now, granted, none of these wins have been against teams higher than them in the standings, but we sweep the season series with Wichita State. Also got a win against the Green Wave in Tulane this past weekend. So talk to me about ECU basketball. How do you feel about men's basketball sitting at 14-12? What are your thoughts? What are your thinkings about where this program is right now? How the team has responded over the last few days?
Yeah, I mean, over the last week and a half, I mean, we've seen it. They've been winning games, and it's starting to show that the team is kind of. I don't want to say coming together, because I don't want to make it seem like this team hasn't been bonded. But I think they're figuring it out how to play together and how to build off each other's strengths. We've seen it the last 2 games. R.J. Felton and then Brandon Davis. I mean, really just. Or Brandon Johnson, excuse me. I don't know where that came from. But Brandon Johnson really, I mean, kind of leading the way. And that's what it's been. Then you got Bobby Pettiford, Cam Hayes in there. This team has the potential. And we've seen it all year playing in tight games against quality opponents, right? And they just haven't been able to get over the hump. It seems like now this basketball team is really starting to catch their stride and get hot at the right time. Now you've got some pretty good matchups coming up on the schedule. You got Memphis, I believe, in the next week or so, which Memphis has been struggling down the stretch. I think you've got 2 winnable games. You can extend this 3-game winning streak to longer. I do. I think that playing Rice and then playing Memphis, it's going to give you a good opportunity to really kind of make a move and get out of that middle ground in the conference.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And, kind of want to shout out a couple of guys here. R.J. Felton, Brandon Johnson. Brandon Johnson recorded his 20th double-double as a Pirate. That's 8th all-time, which is just absolutely absurd. So shout out to Brandon Johnson. R.J. Felton became the 34th player in school history to hit 1,000 points as a Pirate. So shout out to R.J. Felton and Brandon Johnson. A few weeks ago we were talking about Mike Schwartz' seat being hot. If we are not finishing the season that we want to be, is his seat kind of is it getting hot, right? Is it on the verge of people saying, okay, I don't know if he's the guy? Do you think he's kind of right at the wrongs a little bit? Do you think he's riding the ship, or do you think it was never a situation that
yeah, I mean,
even more?
If people were saying Mike Schwartz' seat was hot 2 weeks ago, I want you to come out and apologize now, because he is quite possibly put together one of the best teams that ECU's had in the last 10 years, 15 years. And that's not saying much. Don't get me wrong. That's not saying much. But what I am saying is he's put together a team and has shown that we're competitive. We're competing with teams that are in the top 25. I mean, we've done it with South Carolina. They're in the top 25. Played close with Florida Atlantic until late. I mean, Florida, another team that while they're not in the top 25, I don't think we played them tight, right? So we've played quality opponents tight all year long, and we don't have anything to show for it. We've won the games that we're supposed to win. Yeah, we've dropped a couple that we shouldn't have along the way, and that's the growing pains of college basketball. That's the growing pains of any sport, is you're going to drop some along the way. But what we've seen over the past week and a half, 2 weeks, is this team is, okay, we're beating the teams that we need to beat. We're over 500. We're 14-12. We're starting to build momentum going into the conference tournament.
No, completely and utterly agree. And look, I didn't even know this is the first time we've won 7 American Athletic Conference games in the season. That's this year. First time we've won 3 in a row in the conference. So no, the seat's not hot. seat's not even warm. Give this man some time. Chill out. Stop being couch potatoes.
I do want to give a shout out to Pirate Zach 11 on social, on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. He did the digging, so I wanted to give him a shout out. ECU is 4-1 in quad 3 games. They're 9-3 in quad 4 games. So you're winning the games that you should win, right? Yeah. But they're combined 0-8 in quad 1 and quad 2. Okay, now you're 0-8, but 4 of those losses have come by scores of 1, 5, 6, and 8. So they've lost by 1, 5, 6, and 8 points in 4 of those 8 games. Right. So that's what I'm saying is you're close to really putting together a really impressive season here at ECU, and you can do nothing but build on it going forward. So Mike Schwartz seat, not hot. I think his seat is very comfortable right now.
Yeah, completely agree. And on the flip side of that, ECU women's basketball, the darlings, the team that had all the momentum, thought the week, this team's got everything going for them. They can finish, 7, 8, 9 games over 500 if they want to. They've lost 3 in a row, got beat down to Rice. Did not see that one coming at all. Completely beat down to Rice. Lost to Memphis in the nail biter 72-70. And then tonight, just recently, not too long ago, lost to South Florida 78-68 at home. In which the Bulls led all 4 quarters. What do you think is going on with this women's basketball team right now while we're on this skit?
I think really it's the injuries finally catching up to ECU. Yeah. I mean, and don't get me wrong, South Florida, Rice, both those teams are above you in the standings. I believe Memphis is also. So overall, you're not losing to teams that you should be beating. You're losing to teams that are ahead of you. It would have been nice to win those games, but I'm not as concerned. Mm-hmm. And with you got 4 games left in the season. Finish the season strong. You got a tough one coming up with North Texas. Finish the season strong, and you're going to be able to maybe make a run in the conference tournament like we did last year. I'm not too worried about Kim McNeil. I'm not too worried about this team. Are my expectations a little tempered now? Yes. I mean, now that we're kind of going through this rough stretch, mm-hmm. if we can't get it figured out in the next game or two, then I'm going to be really kind of concerned going into conference tournament play. But if we get it figured out, go into the conference tournament on a high streak, I'll be just fine with that.
Yeah, like you said, I'm expectations are definitely tempered, but we're not hitting the panic button. I think, obviously, like you said, the injuries are finally starting to catch up to us, and we are losing to some pretty good competition. Would have loved to have seen us steal 1 or 2 of those games, obviously. But these next 2 games, I think we can right the ship. Like you said, SMU, North Texas on my birthday. All right. Tuesday, February 27th, at least get us a dub on my birthday. That's all I ask. Bring Artemis a birthday dub.